What's up, everybody? This is Daju, and I'm hanging out with Rob here at Front Row Live.
What's up, guys? Rob here, Front Row Live Entertainment. I am hanging out here in the studio with Daju, and I'm excited to be sitting down with you. I mean, I feel like this year's been a little crazy for you. Talk to me a little bit about just like that hype that's going around and like you starting to get used to this kind of new life that you're having.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I think really once January kind of kicked off, it was just trip to LA. Next month, going to New York. Then the next month, you hear you're going to the Philippines to work on a remix for something. And then now, April, May, you're back in LA doing stuff for TikTok and doing all these kinds of different content pieces, man. It's just kind of been a whirlwind, but taking it all in and trying my best to keep up with it.
How would you say that you got to this point? Like how did you work on that artistry and learn to understand what being an artist was and learning to understand your voice and your tones to get to where you're at today?
Right. Man, it's just kind of been a journey ever since, I started off, came into the scene doing a lot of SoundCloud bootleg remixes back in the day. And I think, once you kind of dive into the creative realm of, making music or doing art, you kind of want to learn other facets of things. Yeah. So from there, making remixes evolved into doing original compositions. And then, once you're doing original compositions, making beats for people, you're kind of surrounded by other creatives, artists, and you're like, I can do this too. I kind of like the idea of being an artist, tired of sending beats out to people. So I might as well keep my beats and sing over it myself. And that's kind of been the process and the journey. And that's been 6-7 years in the making. Yeah.
What was that self-discovery though when you like realized when you realized that one, you can sing, and two, that like shit, I got a good voice. I can do this.
Nah, man. Honestly, it was I think it was when there's this one moment in particular when I was in California with my dad, and we were staying at my grandfather's house. We were helping him with some personal stuff, but I was in the shower and I was singing the old school song. I think it was an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. It was a falsetto kind of range, and he's like, "What? Boy, where have you been with this? Like, what have you been doing? What are you doing making beats only? You should try and do something with it." And that kind of evolved into, he believes in me. Maybe I can do it. So that's kind of been it, and like the self-discovery within it all.
That's cool though, because I feel like most times it's hard to get the parents to be in on it, right?
Well, see, that was the thing, and going back to it, because growing up in a Black Filipino household, my mom, the stigma is you're gonna be a nurse, a doctor,
exactly.
or something. In my case, I went to school to be a pilot, so I went to pilot school, finished that, and once they saw that I was trying to pivot into a musical or a creative lane, they're like, "Oh, well, what are you doing? I mean, it's not really making you any money, or it's not really giving you like a sense of security." But once they saw like the different steps I was taking from having a little bit of success releasing unofficial remixes to having a song that I produced do pretty well, to now being an artist and having a song do well in that lane, they're like, "Oh, okay, like he's doing the proper protocols to make it work out. So, we're going to lay off a little bit and let him do his thing."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're like, "You're not paying for your trip?" You're not, like,
exactly.
What?
Exactly.
Well, congratulations with Rain. You dropped this last year, and it's been doing incredible. It's got a vibe. This song definitely has a vibe, and I love the lyrics in this track as well. Like, what really kickstarted that song for you? And what was your process for that original version?
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Well, it started back in January of last year, and usually in January we don't really have a rainy season or a winter. It just rains a lot, especially on the islands. Me and my engineer Sozin, we were kind of just locked in the studio, and the gentleman you met earlier, Future James, he was actually he's a guitar player on that. So what he likes to do is he sends me a bunch of guitar ideas, and if I hear anything I like, I'll kind of take it and cut top lines to it. And so it was just that one particular loop that was in that pack that he sent. And, with the elements of the studio kind of being dimly lit and, a real small intimate space and the rain kind of playing a factor, came up really with the top line, that descending top line you hear in the chorus. And from there, I felt like that, that has something that could be something special. So just from that whole creative process and getting it mixed, mastered, and releasing the track in the summertime, never would have thought that song would come out in the summertime and do the numbers that it did. But here we are to this day.
As far as that process, though, recording vocals, was it something that was like, was this vocal tone something that's like normal and natural to you, or was this a vocal tone that you felt like you kind of had to work towards to get to where we're at with the song?
I really felt like it was natural, just because my approach to just making music in general has always been about feeling, never stressing too much about the technicalities behind it.
Yeah.
So I learned to trust my gut over the years, just, being a creative. And from there, once it feels good and you kind of tune out the noise of like all this outside distraction, all these noises telling you what you should do, what can be done, if it feels good, man, just rock with it. And I kind of just was riding that throughout the whole entire process, and I'm glad it's just being received well.
Yeah. What challenged you during that process?
Oh, man. I think the perfectionism side kind of challenged me a little bit. And that I talked in the sense of like once you're transitioning from taking a song from demo to a final version, just making sure everything is like tightly packed and nicely digestible, mainly. Just having that creative decision to be like, oh, okay, no, this take isn't good. Let's redo it. So it's a little out of my singing range, I would like to say, but I got it to a point where repetition becomes a thing, and eventually I was able to hit it, and it was just pretty much that. Just, oh my goodness, so many takes for that song, but made it out.
Would you say that you had a different approach in the writing process for this song? Like, did you try to write differently, or did you try and kind of bring in different types of not topics, but like wording for this track in general?
Not necessarily per se. I feel like the writing process, once I usually get a top line down, like whether that's humming melodies or coming up with those kind of scats and oohs and ahs, you kind of just let it come naturally. And I think at the moment we really wanted to try and capitalize, or me and my engineer, just going back and really capture a sense of nostalgia and bring that vulnerability side of things where it's relatable.
Yeah.
So in this case, like, it sounds like a heartbreak kind of song, and I feel like heartbreak, anything involving love, can be cheesy at times, but it's really easy to work with, because that's like the most vulnerable thing a human can talk about.
Yeah.
The art of love and what is love, and that entails heartbreaks, anything in between. So
the beauty of it, though, is that, like, for me as a listener, I can listen to the song over and over and over, and I get tired of it. Like, it just feels it feels good to listen to. But for you, like, the fact that it's this kind of topic, it's talking about a heartbreak, it's talking about a feeling, an emotion that you've gone through, an experience that you've probably gone through. Like, what was that process like of recording those vocals and being able to kind of control your voice when you're hitting these like tones and you're talking about these like vulnerable things?
I think just treating it like work, in a sense of like, all right, we got to get this done. Like, if I truly believe in something and want to see it through, you got to kind of limit yourself, be able to control yourself, and have that emotional, I guess, maturity in a sense to just, not let anything kind of overtake you in the moment. You got a mission to finish a song. It's got to get done. So let's try and do it. And from there, just locking in intensively and being able to kind of just be in the moment throughout the whole entire process allowed us to kind of coast through the finish line through it.
Is that statement true also for the live shows?
So yeah, I think so. Just because you're preparing so much for live shows, man. Oh my goodness. Like, whether that's like endless amounts of rehearsals or trying to set up things within Ableton for live projects. Oh man, preparing for live shows, that is a different beast in and of itself, especially when you have like live musicians involved too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once you stay true to the process throughout anything, I think that translates and correlates well across all different facets. Really. Yeah.
So almost a year later, you got to go back to you got to go to the Philippines to work with a queen from the Philippines, Denise Julia.
Period.
And first of all, how did this opportunity come about? Like, how did the two of you meet or get to know each other, and what was that process like?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate, obviously, when the whole process of Rain was kind of going through, I don't want to say viral moment, but when it had its moment.
It still has a moment. It wasn't had. It still has it.
Yeah, you're right. But I guess just throughout that whole process of that moment, the spikes that it had. I was very fortunate to be connected with a whole bunch of industry heads, and along the way, I was introduced to a gentleman named John Vincent, who is part of Denise's team. Fast forward a couple months, we have this rapport, this relationship that's in good standing, and my team ended up having an opportunity in play to send to him and the rest of Denise's team to be like, hey, maybe this can be something.
Yeah.
Especially with AAPI month coming up, this could potentially be in play. And then once he was on board and once she was down to get on it, we sent it to her. And, oh, man, within like 2-3 days, she sent something back real quick. And usually people, they'll sit on something. But the fact that she felt a type of way to be able or felt compelled to jump on it real quick, and pretty much what you hear on the song is like a quick final reference, like no edits needed to be made or anything. So just that whole process, just I guess both teams just coordinating, locking in, and getting that out the way. But yeah, no, that process was very different. So it was really cool traveling to the Philippines and all that too.
Yeah. What was your first reaction when you heard her voice with your song?
Oh, dude, I was blown away. I'm like, sheesh, like she can sing her ass off.
Yeah.
She's. I mean, that's why she's one of the quickest growing artists in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So you got nothing but love and got to show respect. So, but yeah, she killed it off of a first verse. Usually for me, when I send demos, I'm like, it's a demo. You got to preface it saying like, dude, it's not the final vocals, but this is what the idea is. But nah, right out the gate, it just shows the sense of professionalism she has too with her and her team. So that was really cool, inspiring to see.
I think you got to stop being in your head.
Right. You're right, man.
So she was able to bring in the second verse or create a second verse to this. Did you give her any pointers or was it this is the track, do your thing?
Yeah, no, really just gave her the track and was like, have at it, do what you do. And I think she was inspired or, took derivatives from the first verse that I did because she was kind of following that. But that is as natural. She pretty much did all that on her own and came up with, what you hear today.
Did you end up re-recording vocals for this remix?
Nah, I didn't re-record it. Nah.
Did you think about it? Because
definitely did.
Because now there's another vocal tone in there.
So no, I definitely was going through the process. I'm like, do I need to re-record my vocals? She killed it, man. But nah, I think just letting the track be what it is and having that sense of what people were used to hearing, but just more, that was more than enough. Yeah.
Now we just need a performance with the two of you.
Soon, very soon, hopefully.
That would be amazing.
Right.
You listen to the song now that her voice is on it. How would you say that impacted the song for you personally? But also how do you feel that it impacted your music moving forward? Now that you kind of picture, endless possibilities. I'm sure when you first wrote this song, you were just like, it's just gonna be me and some friends, right? And now there's endless possibilities that can happen with the music that you create.
Right. I'd say, well, obviously when I heard the song, just being blown away at the sense of professionalism, and like I was saying, it inspired me really just to see how a different mindset can be brought into something that's already been out.
Yeah.
But she really gave that song a whole new life, which just being able to hear her harmonics, her melodies that she was hitting, that is something at least I'll take away from approaching new music moving forward, to really just coming together with my shit or getting my shit together and making things sound sonically just as beautiful. But no, I think she just elevated a sense within me to just always try and make something better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. So you've been in LA for a little bit recently, and what are the plans? What can your newfound fans look forward to?
Oh man, well, I'm straight in project modes. It's just been kind of locked in. I've been trapped in the studio for 3 days, just grinding endlessly on sessions. But got a single coming out hopefully within the next month or so. That's gonna be a real nice callback to my roots as far as being from Hawaii.
Okay.
Has that very reggae R&B feel, and then from there it's just the project. Hopefully, fall season. But yeah, just endlessly working on new music, meeting new people, getting in sessions with all these crazy creatives out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely new music very soon.
Dope. For that upcoming single, as you mentioned, like going back to your roots, like did you go back to listen to old music that you had created? Did you go back to listen to old Hawaiian music or classic Hawaiian music that allowed you to kind of get into that moment? Like, what was that process?
No, definitely. I'm always listening to that genre of music just because it's what I'm familiar with growing up. But just taking influences and roots and being fortunate to know some of the people who's also been, in the music industry in Hawaii who do that sound, that style of music has been like really helpful with going through that process because I never considered myself like a reggae artist by any means. I just like being the music person, whatever it is, and that's experimenting with different sounds. But having the guidance of a producer who's on the track, who's into that scene, kind of curate the sound and tell me what may work, what might work. Yeah, it's a fun process, and like I said, there's like different processes when it comes to anything, but it's always that same consistency of just just getting it there, and we got it there. And I'm really excited for y'all to hear it.
Dude, I can't wait. If this is just a small taste of what's next for you, like I'm super excited. Like I can't wait for that, and I'm sure everyone else can't either. During this process of creating this song, whether it's the original version or this new remix, what did this process teach you about yourself, like about your creative process, about your voice, about just the way that you create music that you weren't aware of before?
I just have it in me. I never thought, just going back to that whole situation, the shower with, my dad hearing me from outside, just him not knowing that it was in me. But just mainly just the work ethic that, once you kind of lock into something and you reach like a flow state within it, you just got to be able to trust your process, no matter if there's no right or wrong answers to it. Just really just full send it and give it your all and, live with the results and know that you've done your best with what you can at the time. So, yeah.
Nice. Now, I guess to close us off, since releasing the original track, what has been a favorite moment that you've had from like the success of this single?
Man, honestly, going to the Philippines, that in and of itself, just obviously working with Denise, but visiting family that I haven't seen in over a decade.
Wow.
Like that was a really surreal moment. And that was just, not to get too emotional on it, but that's just the power of music and like what you do. If you love something, like it'll bring you back home and give you a sense of fulfillment, whether it's like within family or, whatever it is you search for in life, but it'll always bring you back to that moment or whatever it is. But yeah, that was probably the highlight of this whole rain run. Yeah, just being able to go back home.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations with the success. Congratulations with this collaboration that you just had. And I'm sure there's going to be many more doors opening up for you pretty soon. I feel like things are happening. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. You guys be sure to check out Daju. New single, Rain, and Rain Remix with Denise Julia is out now. And thank you for watching here on Front Row Live.
Thanks for having me, man.